Right, Paul, going to start with a congratulations here. And it's not a congratulations around the new deal you've signed with the UFC. It's a congratulations that while the rest of us are sat here wearing our socks in bed, having hot water bottles to cuddle up to, you've managed to
Yeah.
position your life to a point where you get paid to go to Rio de Janeiro. So well done,
Yep.
you, son.
Yep. There's a little negativity part that comes along with that, and it's the Saturday night. It's walking out in front of all the Brazilian fans, wanting you to lose, and then going in and fighting one of the most explosive guys on the roster in the light heavyweight division. But up until that point, all the nice parts, walking along the sandy beaches, it looks like something for a movie, going out a nice wee jog along that coast. And then hopefully tonight I'll go and see Christ the Redeemer in the sun, wearing shorts, flip flops. I don't want to keep rubbing this in, but it's a horrible life, but somebody's got to live it.
Yeah, you're allowed to. You're allowed to. I saw you kind of walking down the beach with your tank top, looking like an absolute postcard of a man enjoyed
Yep.
himself on holiday.
T-shirt slung over my back, shades.
Oh, sensational, sensational. Not often jealous of fighters on fight week, but
Yeah.
here we are. Yeah. Also keeping an eye on your Instagram over the last couple of months, and I mean, you look in fantastic shape, great
Thanks,
condition. I
man.
know you've made some changes for this camp. I mean, the eye test tells me it's all paying off.
Yeah, it's one of these things. Like, I'm coming to the age of 35, and I find that fighters at that age kind of either go two ways. They're either able to push forward and be a much better version of themselves coming into their peak, or they sort of dip and become a former shadow of themselves. What I don't want to do is become the former shadow of myself. So everything I do is all about trying to improve myself as an athlete. So can I quantify all my numbers? Yes. Can I say that I'm stronger, fitter, faster, can produce more power? That's, for me, that if I'm able to do that, then I'm able to be a better version of myself, and I'm not going to be this guy who people are using, because this sport's very much like the old buck makes ways for the young calf. You know what I'm saying? So, like, the old bull has to allow the young up and coming contender and beat them. So the day that happens, that's the day I have to walk away from the sport. But as this last year, or even for the pandemic hit, all I've been doing is improving physical wise, mental wise, skill wise. And I think that's and you've seen it over the years, going up against guys like Shogun Hua, going up against guys like Jamal Hill, breaking his arm, all these kind of things are just showcasing that I'm getting better. I'm coming into my prime just now. 2023 should be the year that you see the Bear Drew becoming a world champion. That's what I expect. I know that is it the Chinese New Year? It's the year of the rabbit. But in the UFC New Year, it's the year of the Bear Drew, and that's what I'm looking forward to showcase. I'm looking forward to being a world title contender. I'm looking forward to them to be mentioning another UK winning champion. That's what I'm looking forward to being part of. So it's myself, it's Leon Edwards. That's what I want for this year. But standing in my way is a Brazilian. And as I said, he's very explosive, very powerful, has the skill to turn out people's lights very, very quickly.
So much to unpick there, and we ain't gonna have time to go through it all, I'm afraid. But you mentioned Shogun there. How grateful are you to have had that experience of fighting a Brazilian in Brazil? Because as you say, it's going to be very hostile on Saturday night. You've done it before.
Yeah.
Not only against a Brazilian, but an absolute legend. Fighters don't get more popular than Shogun Hua. So how grateful are you going into this fight, a really important fight for yourself, having a taste already of what you can expect from the Brazilian fans?
Yeah. It was, we took that Shogun Hua fight in 10 days' notice. We didn't have a great card. We didn't have a great camp because we went from fighting in Mexico, I'm sure it was. We'd finished up Mexico, and then after a fight, I like to go on, have a few beers, have a few niceties, have a few bits of junk food. So we took that fight in 10 days' notice, and it was all about getting our body down. We managed to do that. We stepped off the plane, crazy experience as well. Everybody knows who Shogun is. And as we were standing backstage, about to walk out, all we could hear were these boos, and it was because the Scottish guy was coming in and trying to stop Shogun. And I'm walking out, and they're chanting. The chant is it's like, "You're going to die." And as I'm walking, it's a good feeling. because you know you want to prove people wrong. You want to. It's much better to silence a crowd through a victory, and I go in there and it's this war in the first couple of seconds, bust open his face, put a pace on him, what I don't think he was expecting, because everybody expects Paul Craig to be the jiu-jitsu practitioner. I put a pace on him, and then as we come out that last round, and I'll never forget, this is one of the coolest things that's happened in my career. Michael, after the fight, Michael Bisping was up to me and he was like, Paul, I have never seen MD stand in the middle of the octagon in the third round and beckon Shogun at him. He's sitting in a stool, and the crowd's going wild, and I'm standing up, like telling Shogun, get up, let's go, to finish this last round. As I stepped out that octagon, after stepping in it, with nothing but boos, cheers, jeers, and nothing but negativity coming my way, as I stepped out that octagon, I stepped out with nothing but love and elation for the Brazilian fans. If you're able to put on a fight and a show for the Brazilian fans, they'll get behind you. And I think that's quite a lot of sports fans in the world of MMA. You put on a performance and you'll have the crowd eating out your hand. That's why they're there. They're there to watch people, two opponents, go hell for leather on each other and put on a performance. And I think that's what's going to happen Saturday night. I believe Johnny Walker and his skill set, he's crazy, he's wild, he's this athletic guy. I believe just my skill set is able to just stay safe and stop him from being this impulsive fighter, where he'll swing a back elbow, swing kicks. There's nothing really composed about him. We've seen over the last few fights that he has been much more composed, working with the guys at SBG. But I believe he's going to make mistakes. And if he makes mistakes in the light heavyweight division, doesn't matter who you are, be it you're up against Jon Jones, going back a couple of years ago, you're up against Glover. If you make a mistake in that octagon, that 1 second can cost you the fight. And I believe if he does spinning back stuff, spinning back kicks, jumping tornado kicks, all the stuff that he's used to seeing, if he does any of them, there's going to be a chance that I'm going to be able to get a hold of him and drag him to the mat and showcase my jiu-jitsu in Brazil.
You mentioned Jon Jones there, Paul. That's of course the kind of the big news this week, isn't it? The news we thought we were going to get. He's up to heavyweight. Cyril Gane is the opponent. But you train with heavyweights. You know what the difference is between 205 and 250. How do you reckon Jon is going to cope at heavyweight? What do you think he can achieve? Will he be successful up there?
It's hard for guys to be moving up weights. We've seen Israel Adesanya do it, to come up to light heavyweight and fight Jan Blachowicz, and that size difference was just too much. He didn't put any mass on, and he looked like a middleweight fighter who's just stepped up to a light heavyweight bout. Doing it that way is not the way it's to be done. And I think Jon Jones and the team he's got round about him have done it the right way. He's taken time off. We've not seen him fight for a few years. We've seen him getting much bigger. We've seen the size of him increase. What Jon Jones has got, it isn't the size. It's his ability to produce the goods. It's his ability to just switch it on and create these moments, these viral moments, be it choking Machida unconscious, be it out grappling be it out grappling DC. We see him do these things, but we don't expect him to do. Out striking Gustafsson. All this kind of stuff is what makes Jon Jones the GOAT. And I believe Jon Jones is one of the greatest of all time. Gane and his abilities as a striker and even a grappler is phenomenal. But what we've seen in Gane's last fight against the guy that's just left, his name is Francis Ngannou. What we've seen was Francis Ngannou take him down with ease and hold him there. Now, I think if you give Jon Jones that, who's a Greco-Roman wrestler, if you give Jon Jones the opportunities, then he's picking up and slamming me in the mat. And I just can't see past Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones, as an athlete, as a MMA fighter, as a heavyweight and a light heavyweight, he's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time, whatever he does. I think if Jon Jones was a figure skater, he'd still be the greatest of all times. He's the guy who, when I first started the sport, he was a champion. When I first started watching UFC, this guy was a champion and he was putting on these performances. And I just believe that his creativity is what makes him so amazing. And I believe that nobody's going to be able to touch him at heavyweight or light heavyweight. I imagine if he came back down at light heavyweight and go up against Prohaska, he would put a pace on Prohaska and beat him.
All right, Paul, just going to end on one very quick question, if you don't mind, just before we let you leave, because I know you've got a few other these lined up. Talk me through quick bullet points. What is the perfect day for you on Saturday?
Perfect day. We wake up after a great night's sleep. We're already made the weight. We're going to fuel our body properly, have a nice wee treat in there. One of the things about my nutritionist, we're working with the guys at Boxing Sciences, it's not always about the dehydration and making the weight and taking away all these niceties. He puts in some nice wee treats, so I'm looking forward to that. And then it's going to be stepping into that bus, driving over to the arena, stepping off that, and just being calm. That's what it needs to be. I think, see, if you allow your emotions to go up and down and up and down, I think you've already used up all this energy. When I walk out and standing behind that curtain as I'm seeing Paul Craig, and as I'm walking down that, and the people are going absolutely wild, show me nothing but hate, step into that octagon, and it's going to be the stand-up, it's going to showcase, and it's going to be my movement, it's going to be my kicks. That's what people are going to be impressed by. And then it's going to be getting in tight, dragging them to the mat and submitting them. And what I want to do is do it before the 3 rounds is over. I never like to go to the judges, never mind going to the judges in Brazil, where you can potentially they'll be favourable to the Brazilian fighter. Maybe, I don't know. But what I don't want to do is go to the judges, and I want to put a showcase on, because if I don't put a showcase on and I'm not able to stop Johnny Walker in a exciting fashion, then I'm not going to be able to be a title contender. So that's what it's going to be. We stop him, we strike him, and we sub him, and then we go out and we party with Jamal Hill, the new champion.